Welcome to the video where I try to explain the news and the related vocabulary in this short video. Before you watch the video, you need to listen to the VOA news published on January the 1st, 2018. The link to the news is given in the box below. Here is a list of vocabulary items that I have selected from the news. Conciliatory, sustained, temporarily, demonstration, violation, sanctions, seized, red alert, global anxieties, xenophobia, catastrophic, collided, suicide bombing, domestic disturbance, legalize. Each line of words pertain to a particular news items. I will explain the meanings as we go along. Here is news item number 1. Iranian government is facing protest from its own citizens. The Iranian president accepts the right of its people to protest, but the authorities have blocked certain popular social websites for keeping and maintaining order in the society. The first word that I'd like to explain is the word conciliatory. A conciliatory remark is a remark or talk directed at your opponent and shows your desire to make peace with him. Here, the Iranian president remarked that the protesters have a right to speak against the government. That is a conciliatory remark because it shows that the government understands the feeling of the protesters and shows that the government is willing to come to terms with them. You might have heard of expressions like conciliatory tone or a conciliatory manner. Another example is, look at this sentence. Yes, there do exist special reasons for his doing so, assented the criers in a conciliatory tone, yet rising with anger. The next word pertains to the same news item, and the word that I've chosen is the word criticize. Criticize means to find fault with someone. Here, the Iranian president accepts the right of its people to criticize the government. Another example of this word would be, you remind me of my mother. Criticize, criticize, criticize. The next word from the same news item is the word sustained. When something is sustained, it is maintained for a longer time period without showing signs of dying away. Here, the protest sustains itself as it enters its 4th day across the country. The activist's speech was greeted by a sustained applause, is an example of a sentence with the word sustained. The next word comes also from the same news item. The word is temporarily. Temporarily describes something that happens for a short time period. Here, the government has temporarily suspended or blocked certain social media websites for its own people. Another example of the word temporarily is, this shop is temporarily closed for renovation. The next word is demonstration. A demonstration is a large group of people in the streets to show support or disagreement for a certain idea. Here, the protesters are taking out demonstrations in favor of their demands. An example of this word demonstration is, riot police broke up the demonstration. Now we move to the second news item in this news bulletin. The second news item talks about South Korea. In this news item, the South Korean authorities have stopped a ship from entering North Korean waters because the ship is suspected of transferring petroleum into North Korea against the international sanctions. The first word that I've chosen from this news item is the word seized. The word seized means captured and taken possession of. Here, the South Korean authorities have seized a ship entering North Korea's waters. Another example of the word seized is, when fear seizes, she whispered, change what you're doing. You're doing something wrong. The next word is violation. A violation is an action that breaks the law. Here, the act of taking the ship taking petroleum into North Korean water is a violation of international penalties, of international sanctions, I'm sorry. Another example of the word is the rebel troops committing human rights violation in the country torn with civil war. So think about the rebel troops committing human rights violation. The next word is sanctions. The word sanctions here means penalties or punishment. Think about economic sanctions against a country. Now we move to the third news item. It is about a message from the United Nations chief, and in this message, the United Nations chief warns that 2018 can be a troubling year for international peace. So the first word that I've chosen from this news expression, from this news item, is the expression red alert. A red alert is a warning given before almost a certain danger hits in an area. Here the red alert is given by the United Nations chief at the start of the year because he thinks there are clear dangers to international peace at the beginning of this year, 2018. The next expression is global anxieties. This expression means worries shared by countries and people from all over the world. The United Nations chief thinks that many people from different parts of the world are worried about the possible use of nuclear weapons. The next word is xenophobia. It means extreme dislike of foreign people and their culture. In this news item, the United Nations chief also warns that mistrust of foreigners or xenophobia is on the rise in today's world. The next vocabulary item is the word catastrophic. A catastrophic event happens suddenly and it can cause huge damage or destruction. Think about catastrophic rains that displace thousands of people from their homes. The fourth news item talks about an accident between a bus and a truck in Kenya, which caused, and of course this accident caused many deaths and injuries. The word that I've chosen from this news item is the word collided. When two moving objects collide, they hit against one another. An example, think about a prediction about an asteroid colliding with the Earth in, say, 2030. The fifth news item talks about a suicide bomber killing lots of people at a funeral of an Afghan government official. Now, a suicide bomber is a person who has a bomb tied to the body parts, and this person usually explodes the bomb in a crowded area, hurting lots of other people and getting killed in the process. The next news item talks about law enforcement officials and citizens getting killed after a call was made to them about a violent situation. A domestic disturbance call is received by the law enforcement officials about a citizen's domestic problem where violence is feared or is involved. So once again, the news item number 6 talks about law enforcement officials and citizens getting killed after a call was made to the law enforcement about a violent situation, and domestic disturbance call is received when the law enforcement officials get a report about a citizen's domestic problem with prospects of violence. And finally, the last news item talks about the United States, state of California, one of the states of United States, which has legalized use of marijuana for recreational purposes or for getting high. The word legalize means to make an act legal. Think about legalize gambling or legalizing gay marriages. And that's about it. Thank you very much for your patience and for listening in. Goodbye.